What is up, my cutouts cardboard ninja here, coming at you with the planned balance changes for Crossout 2.0. This is just after the recent release of Crossout 2.0 and the other balance changes. Looks as though they are planning on making some changes. Step one on the docket, they're nerfing the piercer. The M37 piercer is, if I recall correctly, it's the blue machine. No, no, it's not. It isn't. I'm sorry. The piercer is the teal rapid fire machine gun. They're just cutting damage by 7%, which is pretty brutal. This is interesting because the piercer upgrades into the fidget, and for a very long time, which would be the entirety of the game of Crossout, up until this very second, the piercer has kind of been just better than the fidget. This is because the fidget's perk is kind of not even there. You just, whenever you hit, it reduces the amount of heat generated on that shot by 30%. So you can shoot 30% longer, but it already has a very low heat threshold, so it doesn't really matter. And the damage was only, what, 5% better at the time? 5% being like in the neighborhood of like something like. So they're cutting the damage on the piercer. Again, this is the second nerf in as many patches to this gun. It's the teal rapid fire machine gun. This is probably due to the fact that the piercer has an excellent hitbox, great rate of fire, and its damage is clearly too good. So they're cutting that down, which sucks. That sucks. Epic parts, the Varan. The Varan is catching a nerf. They're reducing the damage by 10%. They're reducing impulse by 25%. And then in addition to that, it no longer increases impulse with its own perk. So it's just 25% less impulse generated to your opponent. And then also no generation increase as you charge it. Ammunition has been cut by 10. Durability has been cut by what appears to be 50? 50? 60? 60 durability less. The mass has also been reduced, and the accuracy has been reduced by 25%. They've also implemented a reload that lasts for 0.3 seconds. So, ouch. That's a pretty big hit. So one of the things that people have been bringing up in the previous patches of the Varan is a very good gun for what it is because of the fact that you basically can just stream out projectiles that all are 1 pin wide, and they also do very high damage, and you can just constantly fire it over and over and over again. It's kind of like a forgiving scorpion. So these changes are all nerfing the crap out of all of that. The 10% base damage reduction is going to obviously be multiplied into the damage that it deals with its perk, because as you charge its perk, successive shots, the damage increases. So that's a nerf that keeps on coming. That's gonna hurt every tier on the variant. Other than that, the damage reduction is okay. The durability that it's taking on itself is okay. The reason for this is, as they state, it's too good because the Omamori is too good. Pretty much. Omori cuts damage by a flat 50%, which means that, in effect, this is removing 120 hit points off of Varan on build. Basically because they assume that thing is going to be attached to the Omori. The Ermac cabin's catching a nerf. Damage resistance reduced from 10 to 7% per stack. The active time is reduced from 7 to 6 seconds. That won't change anything. The bonus boost delay is increased from 40% of a second to 50%, basically half of 1 second. They're claiming that the damage reduction was too good. And they're right. This basically is a huge nerf. Even though it doesn't sound like that much, 10 to 7, it's really not the first stack that you give a shit about. It's the fact that it's stacked 3 times to 30%. Now it's cutting it down to 21. So it's effectively a 9% damage reduction nerf. I'm using air quotes. You can't see it because that's Crossout damage reduction. In reality, this only gave somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 point... is it 23? Or it's either 23 or 24% actual damage reduction. After this, it's going to be 21% damage reduction, but that's Crossout damage reduction, and I don't have the math on hand. That's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 17% damage reduction to your build. That's kind of a huge nerf. In my cabin tier list, I was saying that if any cabin could make it to S tier, heavy cabin could make it to S tier that didn't, it would be the Ermac. Now it's solidly an A tier. That's a pretty big nerf. That'll keep it down. It'll keep it. The ML200 mechanical legs. There's a long history with these guys. They're the legs in Crossout that are the first ones to exist, and the ones that you never see used and never will. They are increasing, just a flat buff. They're like, screw it. ML200 legs are now 50 kilometers an hour base. Good job. That's the change. Still not fast enough. No one's going to use them. Sorry. I appreciate the change. I appreciate that you're looking into this, Gaijin, Targum, whomever. I appreciate that very much. The issue is that that's still not enough. You put hovers at 95 kilometers an hour, ML200 legs at 50, no one's going to use them. Then with this change, they've also changed the step spider. So instead of having the step spider give 10 kilometers an hour, oh, neat. I just got a subscriber mid making a video. Anyway, so instead of this giving that 10 kilometers an hour to the ML200 legs, they're saying, no, 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 no. It now has its own perk. Instead, it's going to be course rocket launchers. If I recall correctly, course rocket launchers are not homing rockets. So basically, free fire, dumbfire rocket launchers now are going to deal 30% less damage. But don't worry. It's cool. It's cool. Less spread and 50% projectile increase speed. That is it. That's a... All right, I'll just continue reading and then come back to that. The tonnage is increased, which means the amount of active tonnage the cabin gives is increased from 7,000 to 7,600. The mass limit maximum, and this is actually one of the reasons why people like the Step Spider, is because it actually was one of the second highest mass medium cabins in the game, right behind the Nova, is now being cut from 16,000 to 14,500. The mass of the cabin itself, thankfully, is also being reduced from 3,250 to 2,900. That is a difference of about the same from mass limit to mass. That actually means that it's probably still going to have a good amount of active max. The maximum speed has been increased from 65 to 68 kilometers per hour, which, sure, whatever. So, how do I feel about these changes? I'm glad that the Step Spider has an actual perk now. That it's weapon related is interesting. That there's no two ways around this. It's a bad perk. There's in general, I believe personally, honestly, truly, it's a bad perk. And the reason why I believe this is a bad perk is because of the fact that 30% less damage. Nobody wants that. If you were to say that the projectile speed was reduced by 100%, well, or reduced by another 50%, so it's basically halves the speed of the projectile, but they did 30% more damage, that would be a good perk. I'd be like, wow, that's a good perk. Yeah, your missiles go slower, but dude, you're going to be able to crack someone in half. No. They're taking rockets who, while their damage is middling. Their damage is fair right now. Like, crickets are fine, wasps are fine, locusts are fine. Like, they're all fine. The rockets do decent enough damage. But the thing is, in Crossout in modern day, everyone's trying to increase the damage that they deal. Everyone is. And the reason why is because of Grizzly. The Grizzly co-driver basically gives flat damage resistance of 20 or so percent. Crossout 30%. But the overall idea is that you have a 30% damage debuff already on almost everyone that you attack, because almost everyone is choosing to use Grizzly. This gives you 30% reduced damage on that. I can't even. It's hard to explain. There's damage thresholds in the game. So a damage threshold meaning that a certain number of hits are required to destroy a component. And as long as you meet that damage threshold, it doesn't matter if you do more damage than the listed amount, but it does matter if you do less. If you don't meet a damage threshold, it means that you have to hit that same part additional times. And 30% less damage means that you have to hit them additional times in order to succeed. This is a bad perk in general, because the idea is you're now saying, oh, I now need to land, well, instead of landing one cricket shot to, pop your generator, now I have to land 2. And it's like, oh, well, wait, your rockets are going to be more accurate. That doesn't matter. Anyone who's played any video game knows that you live in the game and exist in any video game in a sequence of moments. And when that moment closes or ends, then the opportunity to deal damage ends. For example, if someone is tracking from left to right, and then they're going to pass in front of an open gap only for a brief instant, you have to launch your missile, shoot your gun, whatever, to land right when they're in that gap. They meet the shot, everything's fine. This is saying, oh, your rockets are more accurate, so now you have to do that 2 times in that gap. In that gap, you have to land 2 rockets in order to, hit that damage threshold to pop their generator, destroy their wheel, yada, yada, yada. So this is a bad perk. I'm not liking it. I'll give it a try, but I'm not liking it. They're nerfing the oppressor directly. Maximum rotation speed reduced from 100% to 70%. That's a huge nerf. This is going to nerf every Leviathan. This is going to nerf basically any build that uses the oppressor, such as turreted cannons, anything like that. And they're just outright saying the oppressor's perk was making too much of a difference for heavy, slow-turning weapons, making some such builds too strong. That's what they're saying. I don't know about that. It doesn't feel like it was too strong, but they're nerfing it anyway. automatic weapon, the Caucus. So everyone knows, or at least for a while, everyone should know that this is one of my favorite builds, is a Caucus build that uses both the Caucus and the Oppressor. The Caucus is also finally getting that rotation speed nerf. They were nerfing it earlier, but they reverted it because they nerfed it too hard and it never made it in, but they're bringing that nerf in today. They're like, okay, we're doing it. We're locking it in. So rotation speed reduced from 77% to 77 degrees per second to 60 degrees per second. Whipping out a calculator, I think that is 20% nerf, is that right? Yeah, it's like a 23 or something percent nerf to the rotation speed of the Caucus. Pretty bad. Whatever. Will that remove or reduce the Caucus's rating on my tier list? I would originally have put it directly in the middle of the game at B tier, dead center. With these changes in effect to the Oppressor and the Caucus, I'd think it'd still be B tier, but lower. The Ghost Cabin, the damage boost from the perk is increased from 4% to 7% per second. That means that the time to accumulate the maximum boost has been reduced from 5 to 4. Basically, the Ghost Cabin, even though after it's been buffed, it still takes too long to charge. They're making that charge faster. So with any luck, that will make it more viable. There's plenty of ghosts out there, but nobody really uses this cabin. So hope to see that. Icarus 7, tonnage reduced from 900 to 700. Funny story, it shouldn't be at 900 to begin with. This is literally just them going double whoopsie on what they did. Anybody who recalls, the tonnage of the Icarus 7 was 700 for months upon months upon months, maybe over a year. And then with this most recent patch, or 2 patches ago, they increased the Icarus 7 to well over 1,000, and then they were like whoopsie, and then they brought it down to 900, and they're still like whoopsie. So they're undoing this yet again. They're bringing the tonnage down to 700, which is what it was before. This is a hover nerf. They're saying this change is intended to reduce the excessive efficiency of vehicles with hovers at high power score. Now you have to find a compromise, either get more hovers, reducing maneuverability, or remove some armor, reducing survivability. I'm pretty sure people are going to find a happy in between called damage parts. The legendary part, the BC-17 Tsunami, has received an outright buff. Basically, as long as you are sub 15 kilometers an hour, which means effectively stopped, it charges its perk. Originally, you have to be perfectly stopped. This meant that the Tsunami was useless on hovers and was basically legs only. This now means that the Tsunami is going to finally be able to use its perk with hovers, which means in the next patch or two, expect a nerf for the Tsunami coming. just expect that nerf to come. Don't be surprised when they nerf this. This is a buff, but they're going to nerf it. They're going to say, oh, the damage is too high. We're going to reduce the base damage or some garbage. Because in reality, the Tsunami does perfectly fine on hovers right now. Now imagine it every, I don't know what, third shot, it just does 20% more damage. Aegis Prime module. Energy drain reduced from 3 to 2. Good lord, that is amazing. The power score has been reduced from 1200 to 800. Good lord, that is amazing. Cooldown is reduced from 25 to 20 seconds. Good lord, that is amazing. The durability of the protective field reduced, this is a nerf, from 1000 to 600. This is an interesting note because it's 1000 right now. I don't know what it was prior to its recent buff. For those of us who don't know, the Aegis Prime did receive a buff, patch either in the previous patch or 2 patches ago, that said that the durability was increased. I don't know what it was increased to. Well, we know what it was increased to now, 1000. What it was before, not sure. I think it was 600. I think this is drawing it back down to what it was before. The penalty to the operation of other Aegis Prime modules has been increased. So in other words, stop trying to bring more Aegises from 30% to 40%. This is because of the energy reduction, because you can now actually fit more. You have the chance of fitting more Aegises on. So they're like, no, the duration is going to be cut even greater. Whatever. Their comment is the module wasn't very popular and showed low effectiveness when compared to the Omamori. Once again, this is due to the fact the Omamori is just great. The Omamori is great. It is great. It really outshines other protective modules, including but not limited to the Averter. The Averter, which of course gives a crossout. Again, I always say crossout damage resistance because it's not exact number. The Averter gives 30% damage resistance. There's attached to it. 30% crossout damage resistance, aka 24% damage resistance. It is 23. 23% damage. The Omamori gives an absolute dead-ass 50% damage split. It's not crossout damage resistance. It's not 23%. It's 50%. And that's the reason why the Omamori is so effective at what it does. It's a 50% damage reduction into a pool shield. You guys know how it is. I have a video out on this. I'm not going to explain. But the overall idea is it's just that the Omamori is too strong. It just simply is too good at what it do. Whatever is attached to it, and it's good. The Aegis Prime is getting a buff, and I'm fine with this. This is basically a flat buff from what it used to be 2 patches ago. It's a very slight nerf from what it is presently on live, very, very, very slightly, but everything else about this just super buff. This means that the cooldown on the Aegis Prime, by the way, 25 to 20 is going to make it be so it's going to be able to match the Chameleons Mark 1 and Mark 2 more easily. This is going to work very well, of course, with the Cheetah engine, yada, yada, yada. I hope to see more Aegis Prime builds out there. It's going to be amazing. The Machinist cabin, a.k.a. probably the second worst or the absolute worst heavy cabin in the game. Weapon durability bonus for every 1,000 hit points of the vehicle has been increased from 8 to 10%. So now, instead of it being awkward trying to get to 25%, it's going to be easier. Oh, wait, no. The maximum durability bonus of weapons is increased from 25 to 35%. So, doing math, that would mean that you would need 3,500 hit points to get 35% more durability on your weapon. Their comment is, Machinist lacks effectiveness when compared to other heavy cabins. Hey, okay, time out, pause. Gaijin, if any of you watch any of my videos, this is my best tip for you. You want the Machinist to actually be viable. Not good, not overpowered, not something that everyone's going to use, not going to be like, oh my god, super mega meta, but actually good. You want to know what could make this cabin good? Like, you know, B tier solid and people may actually use it. Change none of this garbage. Don't change any of it. You don't have to. It's actually fine exactly. You can add this or not. It's not going to change. Don't do any of that. It doesn't matter. The actual fix is change it from weapons mounted on the cabin to just weapons on the vehicle. There are plenty of cabins in the wasteland. And by that, I mean every other one. Every other cabin that exists doesn't say mount on, except for, I'm sorry, that's not true. The master cabin has it. With the exception of the master cabin, nothing says mount weapons to this cabin to receive the buff that this cabin provides. None of them do. They just don't, with the exception of the master cabin. Yeah, do that with this. Just say weapons mounted on the vehicle. Done. Done. The meta is people will have to aim for the structural parts beneath the weapons. That'll be the meta. It'll be counterable. It will mean that you don't have to mount to the horrible weld points that have been given on the Machinist. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just make it so if you're using the Machinist cabin, your guns are 25% more durable. What's the problem with that? I don't know what the problem with this would be. Like, is that big of an ask? I mean, right now we've got the Omamori running around buffing people's weapons where like people want to mount to that. Just make this universal. Cabin Machinist, dear Lord, just say weapons on your vehicle have this % more health from having this % more hit points. Just do that and you're done, fixed. The Kami cabin, vehicle mass impact on acceleration increased by 17%. Yep. The Kami showed too much effectiveness and popularity on vehicles with hovers at high power score. This is a Kami nerf. What needs to be understood is that the reason why the Kami is so good is because it had the highest acceleration in the game, because it has 100 km/h top speed. The 17% acceleration nerf that they're saying is coming in. It's not an acceleration nerf. It's mass's impact on acceleration is being increased by 17%. This is effectively because of the fact that it has 100 top speed. It compared to the Griffin, you can tell the difference. A hover with the Kami versus a hover with the Griffin, the Kami, even if it's exactly the same mass, is going to come out on top a lot faster. It just doesn't suffer in the same way. So now they're making the Kami suffer. It's a minor nerf. The Omamori module, the absorption capacity has been reduced. And it's being reduced from 360 to 300. For those of us who do not know, this is because of the fact that 360 is doubled, because half of the damage is absorbed by your parts. So technically, the damage pool was nigh infinite, sitting at somewhere in the neighborhood of 720. The cooldown to the capacity recovery has been increased. That's irrelevant. Most people don't crack through the Omamori anyway. The capacity restoration rate has been reduced from 60 to 50 durability per second. Irrelevant. Long story short, it's still splitting the damage evenly. They just reduced the pool. That's a huge reduction. Catch me wrong. That's basically 120 hit points of reduction off the pool but it's still going to be great. Yeah, it's still going to overshadow its contemporaries very well. The Averter stands no chance against unless it's on Leviathan. For those of us who don't know, hot tip, the Averter is basically only used on Leviathans right now because of the fact that you'll crack through this instantly. 300 hit point. Come on, get out of here. Anybody firing at your Leviathan's cabin will crack through that in a millisecond because it's a Leviathan that's shooting at you. So that's useless. But for standard builds, for standard weapons, for Yangwangs, for Barons, for any other weapon in the game, keeping your weapon alive, even the Kaiju, Omamori, still top kek, yada, yada, yada. Relic parts. The Ripper. The durability has been increased from 500. So there you go. That's good. From 581 to 655. That sounds like a buff. Mass has been increased. That's not necessarily a buff. That's actually kind of bad. It makes it heavier and makes it hard to go in builds. The reload time has been reduced from 5 seconds to 4.5 seconds, so you can shoot faster. So far, so okay. Rotation speed increased by 80%. That's actually pretty good. Optimal firing distance increased from 100 to 200 meters. So that means that it's going to be a tighter spread of blades, because if I recall correctly, there is no damage drop-off on the discs. It does 100 per disc. Disc hit damage type changed to melee. Damage from a stuck disc, which means that anything that's hit on the ground, is increased by 2.5 times. What? The durability of a stuck disc is increased from 50 to 100? What? Melee damage upon hitting frame is reduced by 70%. Okay, there's a lot going on here. Let's just read what they have to say about this and get into that. Main change here is that when hit, an enemy now takes contact melee damage. Same type as a disc when struck on the surface. So apparently when things were stuck into the ground, it was also contact. This means now the disc doesn't fly through penetrable parts, but at the same time, its damage is reduced by parts with resistance to melee damage. Damage from frames was additionally reduced in order to prevent the weapon from being too affected when hitting them. The remaining changes are aimed at improving the overall effectiveness of the weapon. Well, they succeeded. So the durability of stuck discs, let me put it this way. If you've ever played Leviathan Clan Wars, these things are fucking herpes. They're terrible. Because you can't control what your Leviathan aims at if you're the Leviathan player. And those stuck discs are a bitch. Not the damage that they deal. That is a problem, but that's not what the problem is. All of your weapons automatically target those little things. They're basically like if you have infinite drones and you just keep dropping drones off so that it keeps attracting Leviathan shots. That's insane. Doubling the durability of those discs is going to make them... They go from herpes to cancer in Leviathan Clan. The melee damage upon hitting frame being reduced by 70% is there because of the fact that they've changed the type to collision damage. This is important for many different reasons, because one of the things that this says that doesn't make sense, I think this has to be a translation error. They're saying the disc doesn't fly through penetrable parts. That's bullshit. This is going to now fly right through penetrable parts. So to keep this in, to put this in, it's kind of like a better, it's like a better blockchain. Throwing melee damage downfield means that like there's a lot of things that have no resistance against collision damage, right? So, and that is all frame parts, not frame parts. Sorry, frame parts. That's not what I'm talking about. My bad. Let me start again. That's all pass-through parts. That's gun mounts. That's the elbows. That's buggy floors. This thing will punch clean through those because those have no collision resistance whatsoever. Damage pass-through works on every single damage type in the game. Energy, thermal, bullet, blast. It works on all of those except collision. Collision passes through those parts at 100% effectiveness. This means that the Ripper will be able to punch right through any build that heavily relies on those parts. Like, the disc is going right through that shit. However, with that said, bumpers on your builds will, of course, take 90% less damage. So if a Ripper shoots in and you're covered in bumpers, the Ripper will do no damage. It will do 10 damage, effectively. Because bumpers take, reduced collision damage. They take, is it 90% reduced, or it's less than 90%? Doesn't really matter. Long story short, melee weapons, such as hatchets, bumpers, those two things are going to protect you perfectly against the Ripper. The Ripper will no longer deal any good damage against them. The melee damage upon hitting a frame reduction by 70% is in effect because of the fact that this is straight collision. Collision frame already receives a minor buff against collision. Well, it's not minor. It's 50% damage resistance against collision. So the way this is going to interact, it's going to be 70% reduced and then 50% again, meaning that you're looking at 15% or so damage against frame, which means that's going to do 15 or so damage against. So it's effectively, they're trying to make this weapon work against frame almost exactly like it does right now, pre-patch. This is an interesting setup. I don't know. This feels like a weird change to the Ripper. The Ripper is absolutely going to just shred through a lot of hover builds at this rate. Like, it's weird. This will punch through a lot of builds. Dogs that are like blight dogs that heavily rely on damaged pass-through parts, the Ripper is going to destroy them. If this is pure collision damage, and it is the way this is written, you will be able to punch through gun mounts instantly, just instantaneously, just right on through like they don't exist. That's pretty crazy. But then again, they get stopped by bumpers, and most dog builds are part bumper and part pass-through parts. So this is gonna be really interesting. Can't wait to see that. It's gonna be Cancer and Levy C Dub though. All right, that's all I had for you guys today. It looks like we'll see if any of these patch notes make it into the game. Quick summary: Varen, nerf; Ermac, nerf; ML200, irrelevant; Steppe Spider, irrelevant, nerf, buff. It'll be weird. It's not. It's gonna be like, meh. The Oppressor, nerf; Caucus, nerf. Oh yeah, that's right. I skipped it. Piercer, nerf. Tsunami, buff, but will be nerfed. The Icarus 7s brought back to what they were 2 patches ago, so nerf. Aegis Prime, buff. Machinist, buff, but who cares? Kami, nerf. Omamori, nerf. Ripper, change. All right, hope you guys have a good one. Oh man, leave your ideas in the comments below how this is going to change Crossout. Peace.